tough questions, new insights, diverse perspectives. Welcome to Questions of the Day with Fanuel Muindi.
Well, welcome back to SAI TV. My name is Fanuel Muindi, and I am your host of Questions of the Day once again. Thank you for joining us. Now, today we have two special guests. Okay, that rarely ever happens, but we have two special guests all the way. Now, get this, all the way from Bogota, Colombia. Manuela Jaramillo, Director of Corporate Management and Projects Unit at Maloka Science Museum in Bogota, and also Singrid Faja, Director of Research and Development, also at Maloka Science Museum. Both of you, welcome so much to SAI TV's Questions of the Day.
Hello,
Thank you so much,
Manuel.
Fanuel.
Thank you.
So, Manuela, I want to start with you. For the guests, for our shows who don't know what Maloka Science Museum is about, can you tell us a little bit more about the museum?
Yes, okay. Maloka is a science center and a museum located in Bogota, Colombia. We also say that it's very special because I have these two t-shirts, like our president says, like this of the Science Museum and of a science center and also as a museum. So we have an interactive center, but we also development projects of social appropriation of science.
I see. Wonderful. And I had a chance to visit the Science Center Museum back last October, and that's where I met Manuela and took me on a tour of the center, learned so much. So I happened to learn very recently about a new project called City Labs, and I knew that we had to have you back here to talk about that. And so I want to just open up the floor and maybe point to Singrid specifically. Can you tell us a little bit more about City Labs and what it's all about?
Yes, Fanuel. This is City Labs have many different formats in different countries and cities, but they are mainly working on involving citizens on the planning and development of the city, the neighborhoods. It's a process of working with citizens, building knowledge about the place where we are living in. So the project that we have now in Maloka is in partnership with the Institute of Urban Development from the mayors of the mayor office here in Bogota. So we are working in a new space where we are co-creating with citizens from all around the city, which is a huge city. We are a metropolis that has between 7 and 8 million people living here. So we are inviting citizens to think about how this new space would look like and what are the topics that they are interested in work to make important changes in the way we are living in this city. So it's an interactive scenario, but it's also a place to build knowledge about our own city.
And I can imagine it involves the community, right? The local community quite a bit. Tell us about that. How does that interaction take place?
Well, the first step that we already did was inviting citizens from different ages. We work in the design of the lab with 120 citizens directly in different co-creation workshops. And to select those citizens, we run an interview with, I will say, more than 400 citizens. So we send them an instrument and ask them about the the way they are perceiving how we live in Bogota. We speak about a concept which is named citizen culture. Is something that we have been working in Bogota from 3 decades ago. And so we asked the citizens about their perceptions and asked them if they were willing to volunteer to work in this new project. So we made 5 teams, 2 teams from children between 10 and 16 years. We also work with young adults and with older adults. So we have 5 different teams, and we invited them to co-create with us the laboratory.
That's wonderful to see that connection. Manuela, how does this project fit into what the museum and the center overall does?
Yes, this is like a very special opportunity to join the citizen to think about what they want, what they believe are the problems, and to co-create the solutions. So for Maloka, it's very important to put on the table also like Sigrid told you before, cultural science. And I think in this moment, it's a very important topic, specifically for our city and for our country.
Yeah, and I hear these 2 words, citizen, of course, cultural science, right? And the power of co-creation, so just to help me understand something, is this project, are they coming to the center, or does the center go to them, or is it both?
We are working in both. And I'd like to say that the approach that we are having in this project is going a little bit further of the kinds of projects that usually science centers do, that are mainly working in exhibitions, and sometimes we invite people to help us design the exhibition. But we are the concept that we work here in Colombia in the scientific policies about the relationship among citizens and science is named social appropriation of science, which doesn't have an exact translation to English. It's always hard to is something close to public engagement, but it's a little bit different. So the important thing here is that we are understanding that people is able to build knowledge, that knowledge production or science production is not only a job of scientists and professional researchers, but that we all as citizens have this ability, and we want the Science Center to be a place where we can mediate in this process of building knowledge with citizens. In this case, we are trying to understand with them what are the main issues on public space, relationships in public space, urban development, and link them with experts and build new solutions and ways to live in a city of this size.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you're learning a ton, right?
Yeah.
From such
Of
engagements. Could you tell us something that kind of peeks out, like from what the participants are telling you, like through this engagement, we are learning X, Y, and Z. What is that thing that you keep hearing from them?
Well, there are many things, but I will say that one of them is that they feel like very happy to be part of this initiative. I mean, they say we are not regularly invited to think and to work on our city and how can we improve the life and well-being in our city, and we have a lot of things to say, and it is interesting to have this feedback from them. So this is one thing. The other thing is that they recognize the knowledge in other people, so they say I know some part and I have this approach, but when we are working together we can find new different ways of understand the things that we all have the same interest, which is very important. I mean, one of the things is that we wanted uh, to understand what are the most important things for people to change in the city, and there are some agreements about how we relate to the other in the public space. How can we work better with the traffic and make a more sustainable city, speaking about mobility and these kind of things that we all want to improve, but we have different ways to see it.
Right.
And when we can have this space of dialogue, we can build things that are much better.
Yeah. Manuela, did you want to add something?
No, I think the question about if it's here in the center or if it's going to different places of the city. So I think, Sigrid, I don't know if you want to, because we
Yeah,
are working on that right now.
yeah, that's the second part. So we are building the place in the Science Museum, and for this we invited people from different places to come to the museum, but we also run several workshops in their place for this design stage. When we open that, this is going to happen on August. We are going to have also an initiative that is named Laboratory to the Territory, and we are going to have a traveling piece that is going to visit different neighborhoods in the city, to bring them some initiatives that we are working on the lab.
Yeah, I think that's great that you're doing both, that you're going to them and they're coming to you. And I can even imagine that the diversity of questions, and Sigrid, you pointed at some of these, right? That they're coming to the table and they're diverse issues. I think you bring scientists, right? You bring citizens,
Yeah.
and magic can happen, right? That they're part of the solution, that they're working together. And I think there are a lot of organizations out there that are trying to do this exact same thing. It isn't
Yeah.
easy, right? It's not easy. Could you tell us what's the biggest challenge in doing this work?
I think it was like thinking about the methodology that we were going to use. We designed something, and it was our first time, so we didn't know if it was going to work. And when we are working with community, something that we were worried about was we planned for this stage of co-creation 3 different workshops, and each workshop was 4 hours long, and we knew the people were going to show up in the first, but we didn't know if they were coming back, and they did. And this was a great success for us, and I think it was because they felt they were uh, that we listened to them, and that they were participating. I mean, it was not a space where people from the Institute of Urban Development were telling a lot of things, and people from Maloka telling things, but we actually were promoting many ways of participation in the design. And the other thing that was really great was in the third workshop, we show the ideas that every team had in the first and second workshop, and they saw that we used the ideas of all of them to propose how the laboratory were uh, look like and what kind of experiences we were going to have. And it was amazing. I mean, the reaction of them, seeing the pictures of their ideas and what the kids were doing, and younger adults and older adults, and see that it was really, really great. So of course we have many things to improve, but we are quite happy with the success of this first stage.
Yeah. And how long has it been operating so far?
Uh, we have been working from March of this year. So we co-create with them the design of the space, and at this moment we are under production. And the lab is going to open by the end of August, and in this moment we are going to have other kind of activities to keep producing ideas and prototyping and different kinds of scientific research about questions of the city. And we are now thinking about this because we need to have researchers interested in the lab and use it as a platform to keep building and to keep involving more citizens on their projects.
So this is fantastic. So you've basically announced the launch of the city, formal launch in this upcoming August, which is great. Manuela, what do you hope after launch? 2, 3, maybe 5 years? Can you look for that far down the road? What is the hope for City Labs?
I think we are gonna use it like a platform to connect different like actors of the system, science, culture, and the citizen. And I think, and it's our hope to continue working hand by hand with the mayor and with the different directions that are thinking and developing the city.
That's wonderful. And of course, we're going to be right here waiting to see what happens to this, right? And I know there's so much more to it that we just cannot cover in the short time that we have here. And in fact, while you were talking, Singrid, I kept thinking, my goodness, it'd be wonderful to come down there and see the launch. Will you have like a formal launch event of some kind? I'm just curious.
Yes, we will. We are going to have two different kinds of openings. One that is not like a very formal one. We are just going to open the space and start working with citizens. And on the first week of October, we have a big event on the city, which is named the Citizen Culture Week. So this is the moment in which we are going to have this big opening. And so because we want to have this like a month to try things and to see how it works and to improve, so when people are aware that we are opening, they can have a good experience and feel really involved with the different activities that we are planning in the lab, in the city lab.
That's wonderful. Very scientific, right? You're going to improve the process as you get new data. In fact, yesterday we had Desan Davis of the STEM Push Network over here in the US. And it was just wonderful to talk about improvement science, the way they were thinking about impacting and changing as they get new data to make improvements. Manuela, And Tingrid, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time. We're going to need to have you back here soon, okay, to hear updates about what's going on. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you, finally. And thanks a lot for having us in mind, and you will be very welcome to visit us.